नमस्कार दोस्तों, I Lion Rani Ahluwalia, District Chairperson Women Symposium, District 3234D2, welcome you all. Friends, you know, this one is our 18th symposium. 17th symposium we have already given in this our tenure from July to December. And friends, we have covered all the important subjects, and I am really happy to share. It is all due to the motivation of my leaders and your support to me, friends. Thank you so much being with me and giving me opportunity to serve in this field in a better way. Friends, our worthy district governor MJF line, Abhijit Shastri has already joined us, and I thank you, sir, being with me and all the time, always motivating me, and wonderful evening, and I thank you for core of my heart, sir. Sir, I will like you share your views with us and guide us and bless us. Thank you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Rani ji. Namaste. Om Sai Ram. District Chairperson Rani ji and Minocha sir. I had a brief talk with him and I was very astonished. Such a simple and down-to-earth person. Thank you, sir. Really, we feel so blessed that you are guiding us and all of us regarding the financial planning. Friends, financial planning, as you know, is now the need hour of the need, and we have to plan whether you are young, old, or lady, or even senior citizens, because exactly the saving today will only help you to survive in your future life. So friends, of course Minocha sir will give us good tips, but something little from me. First I would like to tell you that please plan your investments. No one ever achieved financial fitness with a January resolution that is abandoned in February. So we have to be very plan it and execute it. That is the gist of it, and you will have to start very earlier. Second thing is set your financial goals and set them high. You may feel that this goal is high, but setting high goal will make you to strive and reach it. Most people don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. So if you fail to plan, then you will also fail in this financial planning. Friends, third cardinal principle, save, save, and save a little more. A penny saved is penny earned, as they say. And we need not stress any important, that is stated by Benjamin Franklin, and he has stated very right. Because let us recall the time when one of them gave us a piggy bank. Now we don't have a piggy bank, but little we know that in the from day the play, for example, we were taught to save. Friends, another principle is idle saving is a workshop for financial disaster. You cannot keep your savings idle. Every penny of yours should earn something. Minocha sir will certainly guide on that part, I guess. Then manage your debt. This is very, very important. Never spend your money before you have it. That is what Thomas Jefferson had said. And in the age of credit cards, now many of us ends up overspending, because when we are not paying actual cash, we see that we go on spending, and the credit card is the highest cost of borrowings. For example, suppose you come across a beautiful dress at a mall, and looking at the price tag of the dress, you see the dress is expensive and beyond your planned budget for a month. As you are trying to solve the dilemma, then credit card comes to your solution. But that is not the solution. In long term, it costs is too high. And last is life insurance. Friends, life insurance has to be there. Be insured and be certain, because but in the today's day, we know there are a lot of uncertainties which are facing us. So friends, this is very, very little from me. An expert is sitting with us and we should not be speaking in front of him. But this is why my experience has taught me. And Rani ji is such a dynamic lady and she has planned so many great things to coming. She has written to Sudha Murthy ji, then Kabir Bedi ji, and Smriti, Smriti Irani ji. So let us hope that we get all these stalwarts and will be benefited by their experience and knowledge. So Minocha sir, once again, thank you. And we'll be calling you in-person meeting also to get guided from you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rani ji. Thank you for letting me speak on this occasion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, being with us and giving guidance to us, sir. Once again, I will like to call Nilufar Barucha to give introduction of our expert keynote speaker. Over to Nilufar, please. Nilu, can you hear?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm very much here. Namaste,
Thank you.
namaste
Thank you,
to
Namaste.
the distinguished gathering. District Governor MJF Lion Abhay Shastri, Lion Rani Ahulyawalia, our District Chairperson for Women's Symposium. I deem it a great honor and a huge privilege to introduce our speaker, Mr. Rajesh Minocha, a luminary in his field of financial expert, who will share with us on this vital topic. They say philosophy starts where physics ends. Physics is useful, but it is only information. One must be having physical, spiritual, and mental strength. And only when you have the three, then only you can do service to society. And our speaker, Mr. Minocha, is a wizard at that. He has had a varied experience, having worked in diverse areas such as project finance, corporate planning, business analysis, testing, and business consulting. He has worked with global business consulting leaders, thereby strengthening continuous improvement processes. Mr. Rajesh Minocha has over 25 years experience in diverse areas in finance and technology, having worked in multinational companies such as ICICI, HCL Technologies, and Franklin Templeton. He quit from corporate life in December 2016 to be the founder of his personal finance consultancy practice, Financial Radiance. Mr. Minocha displays exemplary erudition and remarkable fortitude, hard work, respect for work with humility, treating all with care and concern, creating a community of values which is commendable and significant. All who come in contact with him appreciate the way in which he conducts himself, handling matters in a dignified manner, which is widely appreciated. Mr. Minocha is passionate about mutual funds and their importance in building wealth. His experience with Franklin Templeton gave him further conviction to become an entrepreneur by converting his passion into profession. Financial Radiance is proud to be associated as a personal finance expert with two non-profit organizations, Shout for Help and Listening Ear. His academics include mechanical engineering. He's an MBA Finance from the renowned Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies in Mumbai. He's also a certified financial planner. As if this isn't enough, he also does investor education programs, both in person and as in webinars across corporates, educational institutions, and whoever is interested in knowing more about personal finance, planning, and investments. His early schooling was in Dehradun, from where he spent his childhood. Later, Mr. Minocha came to Bombay and did his 11th and 12th from Wilson College, one of the topmost colleges in Bombay, my late father's alma mater too. Mr. Rajesh Minocha has an incredible stories of success which did not come easy. He has had his share of ups and downs, as we all have, struggling bravely with grit, fortitude, dedication, overcoming them in a palatable manner, fueled with knowledge and techno-savvy. He has fulfilled the adage which says, when the cause is good, the means will follow. His dynamism, energy, intellectual ability, wisdom, and passion saw him reach the pinnacle of success in his field. Mrs. Minocha herself has a master's degree in mass communications. They are blessed with a son who's studying engineering abroad and a daughter in school. Presently, the Minochas reside in Hyderabad, which happens to be my husband's hometown too. On behalf of Lions Organization District 3234D2, I take the opportunity to wish the Minocha family all the very best of health and happiness in peace and harmony, leading a meaningful life. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilufar. It's all over to you, sir. Mr. Minocha, you can go ahead with your presentation. Thank you so much.
3234D2.
Thanks very much for the kind words. Here's the presentation which I have today related to personal financial planning. My objective is basically to simplify the terminologies related to personal finance. And I know there will be a lot of questions, and I will be answering those questions towards the end. So I don't need to spend any time here. Mrs. Nilufar has been kind enough to speak a lot about me already, so I don't need anything else. Here's my mission to help my clients across the globe achieve their personal goals. Like how I achieved that myself in the year 2016 when I left the corporate life at the age of 45. I realized I had made a lot of mistakes when I was working, and being a person from finance background, when I felt that if I could make mistakes, then what about the others who are not from finance background? So that really got me thinking, and I said that let me get onto an area which I have learned with experience, and now I should go ahead and speak about my experience. So here's the agenda. We'll first talk about why do we need financial planning. I know Abesh Shastri ji had spoken a lot about it, so I will not spend much time in this, and I'll quickly go through. Then we speak about the power of compounding. Then we talk about inflation. What should be the savings mantra? And the recent things what we have had with respect to the pandemic and its after effects with respect to the job losses and some of the things, how it impacts our personal finances. Then I'm going to spend some time dedicated to women and speak about why personal finance is even more important for women. Finally, last, I will be speaking about financial planning just through the pictures. So getting started, why do we need financial planning? These are the kind of responses which I get from a lot of people. Some people tell me it's very boring. I don't like numbers, and finance is all about numbers. Some say it's all complicated. We don't understand the terminologies. Some people talk to me and they say, I'm very busy. I've got a job which is like almost 24 hours job, and I don't have time to plan my own finances. Some say, I'm too young right now. I just started working. Why are you even talking to me about retirement, which is some 30 years away? let me enjoy life. Some say, I don't need to because I know God is there on top of me and God will take care of me. So I don't need to plan. Let me tell you that it's not difficult to master the basics. And it is very, very important that we do our financial plan. Why do I say that? Because now the landscape has really changed. Sometimes people tell me, my parents and my grandparents haven't really planned for finances. So why are you talking different right now? So I would say these are the different reasons. Interest rates have declined. When I started working in 1995, I used to get fixed deposits at 14% per annum. And I used to invest a lot of money. Loans were available at 16% to 17%. These are not heard of right now. Now, fixed deposit rates are down to just 5% or even lower. There are more private sector's jobs. It's more of hire and fire right now. Earlier, our parents and the previous generations, they have been able to work throughout until their retirement because they were central government and state government jobs. Now things have changed. Nuclear families are more. People are settling down on their own, either in India or they're going abroad. So they need to plan for their own finances right now. And it's not that the extended family members will always be available to help them out into their finances. Life expectancy has increased. When we got independent in 1947, life expectancy was, I believe, somewhere in 30s that time, average I'm talking about. Now, you easily see people living beyond 90 years. So what it means is beyond our retirement, the number of years have gone up and people are burning out much earlier, where people actually are not able to get their jobs until 60, or some of them just burn out, or they start on their own, they start their startup. For example, I left my corporate life at 45 years old. But there are a lot more number of years which are remaining. And with the life expectancy going up, we really have to plan for many, many years after that. Aspirations have gone up. Earlier, we really did not have parents wanting to travel abroad, or their ambitions were very restricted, I would say, if I can use that word. Now that there is a lot of travel which people want to do, they want to experience a lot of things. Then there is education. We want the best for our children. We want them to settle abroad or at least study abroad. For example, my son is studying right now in Rice University in the US there, one of the best universities there. He's doing his undergrad in computers. Gadgets. Now, so many gadgets are available. Every year you get an iPhone X, then you get iPhone Y, then you'll get a Z, and every year they will keep enticing people because that's what their business is. Medical expenses have gone up. Now there are much more stress-related issues which is there. Inflationary impact, medical is one of the most expensive in terms of the inflations which are there. So it's now becoming a double whammy, where people are living more and they're not dying, which means a lot of money needs to be spent related to medicals as well. So I would say now the landscape has changed, and that's why we need to do the financial planning. What is the importance of starting early? Power of compounding. I'm sure all of you have heard about this statement, which Albert Einstein has mentioned. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who does not pays it. This is exactly what Shastriji was mentioning earlier. Banks, credit cards. So if we understand the power of compounding, we take it into our own advantage by investing early and getting that advantage. Otherwise, we end up working for the banks, because then it's the banks who are taking it onto their advantage there. And the compounding which happens if you don't, for example, prepay your loan early, you end up paying a huge amount of money towards interest. Now, my first job was with ICICI, so I really understand that pretty well. Here are some calculations which I've done, approximate calculations. Somebody who starts at the age of 25 and say he's investing 1 lakh rupees per annum for the next 35 years. expecting on an average returns of say 12% per annum, which is easy to obtain if you start early. Expected value at the age of 60, it is going to be 4.88 CR. That's a lot of money. Of course, inflation will also get impacted. But then say he decides that I want to start after 5 years. I want to enjoy the life. I want to travel. You'll be amazed that 44% of the wealth is lost already. So 2.15 crores out of 4.88 crores is lost. Now, instead of 25, if he starts at the age of 35, 69% of the estimated wealth is lost. If he starts at 40, by that time, it's already too late. 83% of the wealth is lost. That's a stunning 4.07 crores, which means he'll just be able to earn 81 lakh rupees. And that with the inflation, it is hardly going to be worth anything. So that's why it's very important for us to take the power of compounding to our advantage. What is the impact of inflation? Here is an example. Say you were starting with a value of 1,000 rupees, assuming inflation at 8% per year, which is what really impacts us, the consumer price index, CPI, and not what gets published in the media. So 1,000 rupee 50 years back is now worth just 21 rupees in 50 years. Looking at it differently, if you were to buy something for 1,000 rupees today, in 50 years, you'll need to spend close to 47,000 rupees to buy the same item. That's 47 times in 50 years. So as you can see, there is a lot of impact due to the inflation, and we really need to plan for that. And whatever money which we accumulate, we have to look at inflation as well. Children are getting stronger. So 20 years ago, if you were to buy grocery for the same amount of money, say you had $10 with you, you would actually need so many people to take your grocery along with you, because you could buy so much of it for the same $10. But now, even a small child can actually buy all the groceries and he can take it himself. So this really shows in a nutshell what inflation can do for you. Invest in products that beat inflation. This is something where I really want to spend a lot of time upon. If you were to say have money in cash, say 1 lakh rupees, and you just let the money remain in cash, you don't do anything, it will remain 1 lakh rupees. Of course, you can have a situation like what we had 4 years back, the demonetization, and then all the cash will come out. But still, the value of that would just be 1 lakh rupees. As I said, over the last 35 years, this is the real data. Inflation was 7.57%. Fixed deposits used to give us interest rate at 8.41%, which was also taxable. But after taxes, and if you're in the 30% tax bracket, it is even lower. Now, if we consider fixed deposits to get you around 5%, 30% tax gets you down at just 3.5%. Inflation is much higher than that. Here are some numbers for silver and gold. And then the number, if you were to be investing in Sensex, which is just equity, used to be tax-free earlier. Now there is a long-term capital gains which has been put after 1 lakh of tax-free in a financial year. There is a tax of 10%. Looking at it differently, cash 1 lakh will remain cash. Fixed deposits over 35 years would get you 17 lakhs. And look at the number towards Sensex. It's a huge number of 223 lakhs. So that's why it's very important for all of us to invest in products that beat inflation. Otherwise, we are losing money just to inflation. And obviously, then the retirement is going to be a lot more different and difficult as well. And then we may need to compromise on some of the goals which we may have for our retirement. Let me spend some time on the savings mantra. We all have heard about this, that I'm earning, say, X amount of income, and then I know I'm going to have some expenses during the month. Whatever is going to be left out, I will invest. I'm not denying that I'm going to invest, but whatever money gets left, we all know the reality, what happens. There are those unplanned expenses, and then you have those Amazon and the Flipkart sales and those kind of things, and we get enticed towards it, or we find a good offer going on somewhere and we buy a product which we may not eventually need it, but we realize it much later, and there is no money left in the entire month. So we say, okay, no problem, I'll invest next month. Next month also a similar story happens. And then we just keep on postponing our investments and we don't save. I would say we keep the same equation, but we just change it out a little bit. What we do is income minus savings equal to expenditure. What we say, we first pay ourselves. So we have our income, then we have the money which we have earmarked for savings. We have invested it right in the beginning if you want to do that way. Whatever is left, we are going to spend it. Humans have a great adaptability. Once you get less amount of money, we get adapted to it very soon. And then the savings, what you have done, as long as you're investing in the right products, you start getting the compounding of that. So it's only the mindset that makes the difference. It's the same three words I spoke about: income, expenditure, savings. I've just changed some things about the equation and just made it a new equation. So if we do it like this, it becomes a forceful way of investment, but eventually this does pay off over a long period. Fortunately for me, I realized that right in the beginning when I started working in 95, but I made a lot of mistakes, as I mentioned. My biggest mistake was of taking an endowment insurance plan from LIC. First year, I paid 10,000 rupees annually because I was getting the ATC tax benefit, and I got excited and I said, let me save it. Now, if somebody was to ask me, why did you take that insurance? I have zero answer. I was a bachelor that time. No one was dependent on my money, but still I took insurance. Like that, there have been a lot of mistakes. That particular insurance, it was for 25 years money back policy. I got this realization after 18, 19 years, and then I decided to keep that insurance. Just last month, I just got about 4 lakhs or even less than that actually out of that money. There was some money back of 30,000 every 5 years, but then now on surrender, I just got less than 4 lakhs. If somebody had that time told me that buy Infosys or buy Reliance and just forget about it, I would have actually retired by the age of 35, which now I did at the age of 45. So not very late. Now I'm doing what I'm enjoying, but still that was a mistake. And then there were a few other mistakes of taking some insurance plans, which were really not investment plans. And the people who were selling it actually sold it to me. Later on, I realized the best form of insurance is the term insurance, wherein you get a good amount of sum assured. If a death happens, the nominee gets the money. If death does not happen, you don't get any money. But you can get an insurance of 1 CR, approximately at around 15,000 rupees annually per year. Of course, depending on age and health conditions, it would vary. I'm just giving an average number. So that's the kind of difference, What we are trying to do there is to protect ourselves. This is the best slide actually, which I see here. And I would want to read this out. We buy things we don't need, using money we don't have, then to impress the people we don't like. At times, we take loans and we buy things just because our neighbors or relatives have it. And we don't want to be seen smaller in front of them, or we want to boast ourselves. We are trying to impress, but we know within our hearts that we don't like them. It is our jealousy, actually, which is there. So a lot of times, and thanks to now Facebook and easily availability of the credit cards, this problem is actually going up even more. And I see that to be a huge risk for people. Moving on to the next slide. We need to separate our wants from our needs. That's very important. And here there is a great quotation from Warren Buffett. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell the things you need. That's why it's very important to understand what you need, and then accordingly, you buy them. Just to give one of my own personal example, as it was mentioned during my introduction, for last 15 years, I'm in Hyderabad. I originally belong to North India, Dehradun. So fortunately, I did not have anybody to impress here. I did not have any relatives here looking at what I'm doing, etc. I had a car, a Matisse, which was bought after my Maruti 800 had got stolen in Delhi after 11 months of usage. Next car I had bought was Matisse, and that traveled with me to all the cities where I moved and eventually to Hyderabad. I drove it for close to 13 years until the time the car refused to carry me. Or I saw that as a risk that if I'm outside with my family and the car breaks down, that's the time I actually sold off the car, because I saw the car only as a mean of going from one place to another place and nothing more than that. And as long as that was being done, and Matisse was an extremely good car for me, unfortunately, the factory closed down after 5 years due to financial difficulties. But the car was extremely good during that time when you had only Fiat and you had Maruti. Then we just had Santro and Matisse getting launched that time. So after 13 years, I decided to buy a new car. I had the affordability of a Mercedes because my employer, Franklin Templeton, was giving me loans, and considering my level and the income I was earning, I was eligible for a much bigger car, which I could have easily bought. But again, what I bought was a Hyundai i10. And now that car is with me for more than 9 years, and it's going great. I want to keep it for another 6 to 7 years more until the registration gets over, if at all it goes well until that time. If there are issues, of course, I will change them. What has been the impact of the COVID-19 and its after effects? Let's speak about these now. Now, this has been a bigger impact, as we all know. This has been something which has happened all of a sudden. And nobody had anticipated. The last one which we had a medical crisis was in Spain, which was about 100 years back. But it was not a global crisis. But this time what we have is a global. Last, of course, was a financial crisis, which all of us will remember, which we had in 2008. But this was the first for us. And what really happened was there were a lot of jobs which were lost, both in India and globally. And people have been losing jobs. And people who have lost jobs are now finding it very difficult to get new jobs. In fact, I have a few clients of mine also who have lost jobs. And I'm helping them on their personal finances in terms of what should be done. But this was a reality which had happened. The situation in India especially is improving, and I'm extremely bullish about the next decade for India. I do believe that next 10 years belong to India, like how they've belonged to China in the past. I think now it is India's turn. but there are going to be situations. So in case we are in anticipation of losing a job, these are the different aspects what we should look at. We need to keep the expenses in check. Discretionary and non-discretionary, meaning the mandatory expenses like groceries, EMIs, etc. Non-discretionary like going out for dinners or traveling, vacations, etc. We need to keep 6 months in emergency funds, which we should be able to withdraw with a single day's notice. And that money needs to be safe. Long-term money can be invested. We need to have our term insurance, as I mentioned earlier, endorsing it with Married Women's Protection Act. Not many people know about this. I've written a blog on my website, financialradiance.com. If you need more details, you can get into that. But what it means is that the money gets protected in the wife's name if the husband dies. And nobody else can take the money, whether it is relatives, banks, or anyone else. It becomes like kind of a trust. No additional charges for doing this, but you can endorse it only when you are taking the insurance. You can't add it. My own term insurance does not have it because nobody told me that time, and I wasn't educated enough to understand. We need to take health insurance. A lot of times we say that we have health insurance provided by our employer. Why do we need it now? The thing is, in private sector, you have insurance only till the time you're working with them. After that, we don't. If we are working with central government or state government, yes. Then as long as we have got a good sum assured from them and it's going to be a good number there, we don't need our own insurance. But otherwise, we need it when we are between jobs, and if something happens, what do you do that time? Because hospitalization is expensive. We need to know our goals. Why are we saving and investing? And then we need to plan for it. I have developed a free toolkit which you can download from my website that will get you started in terms of knowing your income, expenses, assets, liabilities, net worth. We should be investing in our own personal development. Skills which are relevant today may not be so in future, especially the jobs which are manual in nature. We are already seeing that a lot of technology jobs are now getting automated. And similarly, a lot of other jobs, other industries are going to get irrelevant, especially after the pandemic. So we need to understand whether our skill set right now is really relevant. If not, we plan. What should we do after the job loss has happened? First of all, acknowledge the emotions and just move on. No point really thinking about it, etc., because we have to plan for the future. Just know that it has not happened because you were not good, but it's just the situation which has really got it. So don't penalize yourself, simply just move on. After. Good time for self-assessment, passion versus job. I was mentioning about some of my clients who have lost job. They are actually now thinking whether they want to be in the job or whether they want to start on their own, or were they in a wrong industry, and now is it a good time to change the industry? So this gets the time for self-assessment. Get your expenses under check. Discretionary expenses should all be stopped. EMI should continue because it will impact your CIBIL score very negatively. They will not understand that you are out of the job unless you have negotiated a deal with them. But that can also impact your credit score. So EMI should continue. All your future SIPs, you can certainly stop at that point of time. Investments can be stopped. And this is the time to use your emergency funds, which I spoke about, 6 months of emergency funds, which we should have. Avoid redeeming equity or provident fund money. Generally, if the situation is bad, equity markets also go through a bad situation. We saw that in March and April this year. And provident fund money is for our own retirement. A lot of times people start withdrawing when they change jobs. It should not be withdrawn, but it should be transferred from one job to another job. Not only it becomes much more tax efficient, the money what you get in the end on your retirement is tax free, but it's a kind of the forceful investment which I was speaking of. Women and finances. When I was discussing this with Rani ji, she did mention that we should be having some discussion related to women, and I'm presuming that there are a lot of women also in this discussion. So this, I think, will be useful. So I have a lot of women as my clients too, and I keep writing blogs also. One blog I wrote last year on the Women's Day too. It's available on my website. So I could segregate it into these categories: not interested and interested. Not interested are those which believe that they are segregated roles. Women are supposed to take care of the family, they are supposed to prepare food at home, or they are supposed to be housewife, and personal finance is a man's job. So I will not get into it. And this is something I will let him do it. A lot of people, in fact, their own money is handled by either husband or father or anybody else in the family. They don't manage their own money too. They may be earning, but not managing their money. What I have seen, my experience in dealing with women, is that they are really interested once they get excited about it. They understand the big picture. They understand the goals. It could be the goals, say, related to children or their marriage or even own retirement. But just that they were not interested all across. But once they get interested, I see most amount of the conversation happening with the women in the family then. They are extra cautious. I've seen a lot of men, and I'm not generalizing it. I know there are a lot of men also here. I'm not generalizing it, so things can be different. But I've seen a lot of men taking decisions at the spur of the moment. The decision would be like, okay, so here's a stock which has been doing very well. I just got an SMS. Let me invest into it, and I will do it. Women, I see, very extra cautious. They want to actually think twice. They want to read. They want to do the research, and then after that, only then they get interested. Some of them want to separate finances. They don't want to club all the finances actually with their husband. A lot of women don't want to take any loans. They are very adverse towards taking loans, which in a lot of ways is a very good thing. Certain disadvantages, especially if the loan is, say, for education purpose, or whether it is for your own enhancement, education where you'll get a better job, or whether it is your home in which you're going to stay. Probably taking a loan is a better option, but in general, I completely agree. Yes, I mean, loans need to be avoided. I got myself debt-free at least 8 years back. Physical assets, a lot of them want to have physical assets which can easily be seen and handled, whether it is related to property, gold, anything which can be seen is something which they want, and anything which is in electronic format, they don't believe in it. Again, as I said, people can be different, and I know many women who are different also. Eagerness to learn, as I mentioned earlier, once they get interested, the kind of questions I get from women is a lot of them. Generally, I prefer actually when I have conversations with people that it is both husband and women who are there into the call to get the perspective from both. Why is it important for women to actually get involved? There can be sudden responsibilities. Say the death happening of the person who was managing the finances. Sometimes the people don't even know where the documents are kept, what all assets are there, what liabilities are there, what insurance is there a will available or not. So that becomes important. Living your dreams. What I've seen is a lot of times women want to be very conservative, thinking about the family, but not thinking about themselves, what they want to do. Once they understand finances and they have taken the control of their own finances, then they would be able to plan for their own dreams as well. Finally, increase in the divorce rates. This has gone up a lot in India over the past few years, especially after the families became nuclear families more. divorce rates have been going up. So it's very important that women understand the finances very well, so that if there is a divorce which happens, they are still in control of the finances, and then they are not dependent on anyone else to take care of the finances. Because whether we like it or not, unfortunately, finance is not a subject which is taught in schools and colleges. I would have liked if this was a mandatory subject. We study all the things which we don't ever use, but this is something, finance, which everyone has to use, whether he's an engineer, lawyer, or a finance professional. Everyone has to manage the finances. But this is something which is not getting taught. And people learn with experience, like how I also learned after making some mistakes. This is the last part of my slide, which talks about financial planning in pictures. Now, here I speak about financially free. When do we become financially free? When the passive income is higher than our expenses. Meaning the money which we generate as returns from our investments, that money is higher than the expenses, and it is able to keep up with the inflation. What would you do in such a situation? It may be difficult to understand, but let me simplify. Say you were to travel from Mumbai to Kolkata, and you were going in the car. Suddenly you see a lot of traffic jam on the way. Then you see a cyclist who is just going past, zip, and he just goes faster than you, and you are still fuming in your car. Would you then get out of the car, sell it at whatever price it is sellable, buy a cycle and go to Calcutta? You would not do that, right? Why do we do something like that in finances? When you have planned for your goals, which are long-term goals for finance, and you have a pandemic situation like what we had in March and April, then why do we want to panic and redeem everything and exit? That is the best time to actually buy more, because there's a sale in the market and you're getting everything cheap. Like how we look for a sale when we go for Diwali or for any festivals, and we end up actually buying more than what we need. Why do we do something different in finances? It's very important for us to actually get that mindset, and then, you know, look at your goals. Anything short term, certainly not into equity, but long term money can get into equity. How often do we do this? We get into the toll plaza, there are a lot of cars, we realize ourselves that we are in the line which has the maximum crowd, and it is taking a lot of time. Suddenly we want to shift to the other lane. And the moment we shift into the other lane, we see that there in that lane, somebody has got stuck and that person is just not moving. And if you had been there in your original position, you would have actually got out of the exit gate also. It sounds very familiar, right? So why do we do this when we are into finances and we look at whatever is the best way to get rich quickly, and then we do that, very soon realizing that that's not the best way, and then we keep changing? Why not do the simple and the boring way of just getting invested based on the goals? Ever wondered why a person does this? I'm sure all of us have been to those melas and have sat on the giant wheel. Now, if there are few people in the giant wheel, you might have noticed that they don't allow a lot of the people to sit next to each other. You'll have one person sitting on one side and the other person sitting 180 degrees apart, because they are trying to balance it. Similarly, what we need to do in personal finances is also balancing by way of asset allocation. We can't have everything into equity. We should have some money into debt, real estate, gold, etc. We need to have our own asset allocation linked to our goals. That's about the presentation. Now, a little bit about what you should be doing if you already have a financial advisor or a mutual fund distributor. You should look at the ethics, their expertise, and somebody having the quality practice. But it's your responsibility as an investor as well. Do not expect that the financial advisor or the distributor is going to take more interest than yourself. It is your money. A lot of times people just say, let me know where to sign and I will sign it without reading. And by the time they realize that they got into a bad product, it's already late. Relationship needs to be a partnership. It's like a doctor, like how you need to tell everything to the doctor so that he understands the symptoms very well and is able to give the right prescription. Same thing works even in personal finances also. Otherwise, the prescription or the advice can be very, very different. Unless the professional understands history and symptoms, prescription can be faulty. That would be the journey towards the financial. I'm not going to spend much time here. It's available on my website too, but these are the services which I do. Some I do it myself, which I understand very well. Some I do it with a professional who is an expert in that area. So this is a kind of a tie-up so that I'm able to get across to the person who understands things better. So I've tried to diversify as much as possible into various areas without me getting into all of them, but being a one-stop place for all my clients, in terms of helping them in any of the services which they need. Financial workshop is what I'm doing just now, the last one. These are the different ways to get in touch with me. There is this QR code. I have a WhatsApp broadcast, which I send it to people if I find anything interesting, which people should know. I send it across to anyone who needs it. I have a newsletter. Here's my email ID. Here's my digital business card. This card has all the information which you may need to know about me, my social media, my services, etc. Everything is there in just one link itself, which can be checked even on the phone. And here is the WhatsApp or the mobile number. With that, I end my presentation, and I know I've just been a minute late. No, in fact, 4:57 was when the Q&A had to start, and I'm actually a minute earlier than that. Okay, so I'm done with my presentation, and I will now be happy to answer in case if there is anything which you want to discuss, which is very personal in nature, and you don't want the entire group to know, feel free to reach out to me at the numbers which are given below here. You may want to take us. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm now stopping my screen sharing, and oops, I stopped my video.
Thank you so much, Managerji. Thank you so much. It is wonderful the way you have explained everything in a simple way, and I know who has not joined has missed something really wonderful, presentation by you. I am thankful really from the core of my heart for giving me wonderful that presentation to all of us. Thank you so much. And sir, this is the Sanman Patra for you. We are going to send to you for your contribution towards this. And thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, I would like to say our Seemaji Dapke to say vote of thanks. Please come.
Namaste everyone. Ask a keynote speaker.
Should we do the question answers first or?
Question answer है क्या बोल रहे हैं?
I have one person actually raising hand. Yeah. Shall I unmute here first?
Sir, the questions can be dropped down in the